the point is, there are proofs why we know that this claim that was made is. So how do you know? You investigate the claim. That's what you do with every claim.
So what's the
You
proof for Islam?
Okay, we'll come to that. You investigate any claim, and using that claim, you come to the conclusion whether something is true or false. Now you ask the question, what is the proof that Islam is the truth? We'll say proofs are of different types. And I was just mentioning that I have a full 1 hour video or more than an hour video lecture talking about this. There are different types of proofs. For instance, some of the evidences, explicit evidences that Islam is the truth, is that Prophet Muhammad made numerous prophecies about the future. None of them are false. Many of which are specific, time-bound, people-bound, and exactly happened the way the Prophet ﷺ told us will happen. He made tens.
About future events.
And he's talking about, I'm talking about future events, things that he said will happen right at his time, in his age, after his death, few hundred years after him, today, not just in one time or another time. We're talking about throughout history until this day. He's made numerous prophecies of the future. They all came about. So that's one evidence. Another evidence, the Prophet talked about the past. The past. What past? The past that he didn't know, meaning his community didn't know, because he was in the desert of Arabia. They had very limited set of knowledge. The other civilizations of the time did not know. For instance, the Prophet said things about the ancient Egyptian civilization that we didn't know about, because the Rosetta Stone was buried. It was discovered in the 1899, I believe, or 1799, in which we started reading hieroglyphics. And now we understood what's written in the pyramids and what the Egyptians believed. Before that, we couldn't read the writings in the pyramids. So the Quran, and no, I'll just finish this, and then you just understand my argument first. Before you say something, maybe I answered it already. So the knowledge of the past, I'm giving an example with the Egyptians. There's many other things. For example, the Prophet talked about Abraham and people in ancient Mesopotamia, and the Sumerian language was dead at the time of the Prophet, at the time of Jesus as well. And the temple that had this information is called Zugrat of Ur, and it was buried under the sand. It was not discovered. So the Prophet could not access the language or the temple that had the artifact that says the information, but the Quran mentions information, and we discovered it after the Prophet. So there's many things like this in the Quran, and it's not in the Old Testament. It's not in the Jewish books or the Christian books. I'm talking about information exclusive to the Quran. So that is another form of evidence. Before you respond to that, take the whole evidences together. That is another form of evidence. Another form of evidence is the life of the Prophet himself. So we have an idea of testimony, what he did, that people testified, so what he did, and continuously transmitted information about him. His life, studying the motivations of what he was doing. If he was not saying the truth, what would be the reasons he was not saying the truth? What other explanations? If he wasn't a true prophet of God, there would be alternative explanations. Another evidence is the Quran talks about the natural world. It talks about the universe, talks about stars, talks about human beings, talks about embryology, biology, cosmology, and all of these information that we see, that we are actually learning about today. These information are true. We're discovering the reality. We're discovering their truth. Another evidence is, I can go on and on. Another evidence is the social structure of Islam. That is, the teachings of Islam, which deals with every aspect of life: social laws, government laws, financial laws, things that cannot come from one man, because you cannot be expert in all of these different fields. Now, there's multiple different evidences that we combine together. And of course, the most important is the Quran itself. And no one able to imitate it in the Arabic language. It's a very unique scripture. It has been that unique scriptures. And no Arab, atheist Arab or Christian Arab or Jewish Arab, have been able to refute that challenge. Now, all of these are evidences. And I'm just mentioning the types, and every type has many different examples. Now, this is how we know for a fact that Islam is the truth.
Okay. Yeah, you made a lot of points. They're interesting.
Yes,
the first thing about the miracles. So you say miracles are something that...
I didn't say miracles.
What did you say? Prophecies, sorry.
Yes.
Prophecies, not miracles. Prophecies. All right.
Yes.
Okay. So you said prophecies. The prophecies are something that in Islam come true. Maybe if you give me some verses of prophecies that you think came true, I could really check them out. One thing.
Sure. So one thing you can do is you can check the lecture that I recommended to you. That is 1 hour, where I mentioned some examples, but I can give you some now if you want. But I would recommend looking at the lecture, because the lecture has different examples, and the references show up on the screen, I believe, when I mentioned them. So there's many examples. For example, Prophet said the barefoot Bedouin Arabs will be competing in building the tallest buildings. He said the earth will puke. We have the tallest building today in Dubai. He said the earth will puke as treasures, and we can see the oil has been the treasures that the Arabs use, because the Prophet said money will become abundant within the Arabs. He named the countries that Islam was spread to. the countries that Islam is in today. He gave a time prophecy exactly when the Roman Empire is going.
All of that is in the Quran?
Yeah, some in the Quran, some in the Hadith. We believe in the two scriptures.